Hi, in this episode, I'm going to share with you the ins and the outs of a 40K cash day. This just happened in my business last week. And I'm not only going to share with you the exact strategy in terms of how I sold this amount and the exact offers that I used to pull in this level of money, but where the real value and the real magic is in the breakthroughs that I'm going to be sharing with you that I was only able to have in hindsight after this took place in my business. So I'm going to break it all down. Let's go. Welcome to All In with Allie, the podcast for online business owners and entrepreneurs who are ready to create the life and business of their dreams. I am so happy you are here. Woo! 40K cash day. What a privilege. I mean, how amazing is that that's even possible? That's even possible. And in terms of what is available for all of us, 40K, while I'm beyond excited and grateful that this took place, I know people who've had $1 million cash days, truly. So why I'm recording this episode is for a couple of different reasons. Number one, to again remind you of what is possible in our online businesses. While running an online business is very frustrating in a lot of different ways, there's certainly the cons for every pro, right? It's not easy to carry the risk of an online business. It's not easy to run an online business in a lot of regards. But when you realize the pros that come with the cons, and you realize that there truly is no ceiling to what is possible, we're able to take a deep breath and we realize okay, work through all the funk, get through all the BS, learn what you're doing, become really great at what you do, and then reap the benefits of what comes with an online business, which is no ceiling to what it is that we can create. So I'm here just to simply, and I'm sharing this just to simply remind all of us that this is possible. But also, I made a deal with God. I make this deal all the time, but I made the deal that if I get to be successful and in the wins in my business and the L's too, I made a deal that every win that I have in my business, I will turn around and I will explain how it happened. Because if it's possible for me, it's possible for you. And I truly believe that we're all meant to win, right? We're all meant to be wildly successful in whatever way that we want to be successful. We're all meant to create the type of life and the type of results that we all dream of. But with that, it comes a certain mastery of your belief system, of your mindset, of the type of action that you take and how you show up. And by me having a 40K cash day, I'm certainly not saying, "Oh, I've figured it out. I'm great. Let me help you become a copy of me." It's simply saying something right happened there. And I'm just here to tell you in live time as quickly as I can, this is what I did. Go do it in your way because you can do this too and have an 80K cash day, a 400K cash day, whatever that looks like for you. So that's why I am recording this episode. Okay. So the first thing that I want to share is what actually took place and how literally where this money came from in terms of the offers and in terms of the strategy. So we'll handle the black and white of it all first, and then we'll get into what I think is the secret sauce of it all. The gasoline to the fire, so to speak, which is the energetics and the breakthroughs. So the first thing that happened here and what I want to say is, well, let me start here. 40K cash days are not a norm in my business. I certainly have an intention now where it gets to be a norm. And that's something that I'm working through in my own mindset. Well, why can't this be normal for me? In the same sense that a 400 cash day is quite frankly regarded as a low cash day in my business. Why can't 40K be that energetic minimum, right? So that's something that I'm working through. But if, as of right now, 40K, that's a huge win in my business and a very welcome surprise and very exciting. So I'm very thankful that I get to record this and I get to reflect all of this with you. And here's where it came from. So, and this is actually the first piece of this goes hand in hand with one of my breakthroughs, because this came from an inspired idea that I don't always act on because sometimes these ideas aren't necessarily convenient. But I think that's the point of an inspired idea. It doesn't matter if it's convenient or not. Like it's coming to you for a reason. It's up to you if you want to act on it or not. But I got an inspired idea to do a 24-hour special in my business. How this came about, I don't even really, like I said, it was just an inspired idea. It just kind of came to me. It was one of those days where I was like, you know what? I would just love a cash infusion in my business. That would just feel really nice. We just paid another chunk for taxes, it being mid-October. And I think that probably fed into it, which is like, you know what? I would love a decent cash infusion. That would just feel really good for me right now. And the idea of a 24-hour special came about. Now, I've done 24-hour specials before, but it's been a minute. And that's kind of where it came from. I was like, wow, I haven't done that in a while. And as soon as I started thinking about it, I started getting ideas of what some of these offers could be. Like if I was going to do a 24-hour special, what would be the specials? And they started coming to me. And I chose 3 different offers. I chose like a strategy type call situation, 1-to-1, and it's like a mid-ticket offer. It was $777. That was one offer. I chose a mid-ticket group coaching offer on Voxer. That was $333. And then kind of the Hail Mary, the fun offer in there was a 6-month private coaching protege spot. Well, I call it protege. So it's 6 months, high level coaching private, which I don't really offer private anymore. Every once in a while, I might talk about how I have like a spot open if I do, but I very rarely talk about these. And I can't tell you the last time that I've taken on a longer term private client. So this was probably the most inspired of the ideas. And it was just like, you know what? This feels fun. I love private coaching with the right person, obviously. So YOLO, let's just throw it out there. Now it's a 24-hour special. So I decided so the prices and by the way, the protege spot was $18,000. Okay. Now the whole point of the 24-hour special is that these are on discount, these 3 offers. So the prices that I just shared with you, the $18,000 pay in full, the $777 and the $333, those were the special prices. So they each were over 20% off what would be the normal ticket price. So these were like a really, really significant deal, especially for what they were, but for only 24 hours. So when I decided to do this and I thought of the offers, I was like, okay, I feel really good about those. I would be excited to sell these. And also it's just for a day. It just felt fun. That's the best way. And I'm telling you, this is a breakthrough right here that I've always known. But like, if you've never heard me say this, I'm telling you, most of my best launches and highest converting offers, huge cash wins, cash days come from offers that I would describe just like that. It just felt fun. It felt very YOLO. It felt very like, wee, it maybe doesn't make logical sense, but it's an inspired idea. and it feels fun. None of it felt like, oh, I don't really want to do that. None of it felt like I'm just doing this to make money. None of it did. It was just like, I actually would love to sell that. That would be really cool, granted with the right person. So what I did was I put these offers together. I kept it super simple. I just shared an offer link, like a link to each offer for all of them, like a very simple synopsis of, like, they didn't have their own landing pages. Let's just put it like that. In Kajabi, you can just make offer links where it just takes you to pay for the thing, and it gives you like a little blurb about what it is. And this is how I sold it. So I sent an email to my list immediately, and that was like my way to announce it and to kick off the 24 hours. I was just like, hey, this is the vibe. This is what we're doing. Surprise. Here are your options. And there were 3 links within the email. You can sign up here. You can sign up here. You can sign up here. Very, very simple. And then a couple of hours later, when I had a chance, I got on social media and I did the same. And I just recorded a video. I said, I haven't done this in a while. If you're interested and you want the details, vote in this poll. And I put a poll up that basically said, like, I want the details. And if they voted that they want the details, then I individually responded and I copied and pasted. I like wrote out this blurb in my notes app. Hey, I'm excited you're excited. Or I'm excited that you're interested in the 24-hour specials. These expire at this time tomorrow. Here's what they are. Let me know which ones you are interested in. So I put that on my social media and let go, let God. Now, here is the coolest part. I got no sales that first day. So it's 24 hours, right? And I started this at noon on Wednesday, okay? No sales on Wednesday. Not one. Not one. No responses to the email. A ton of interest on social media, but not one person responded and said, hey, give me the link for whatever. Ton of interest. Yes, they voted on the poll. They wanted the information. Not one sale. Okay. So this happens. And this has happened in my world plenty of times, but typically when this happens, it's a longer launch, right? Usually it's like a multi-day thing or a week-long thing or whatever. So it's like, okay, day 1, who cares? Who cares, right? There's so much time. This is a 24-hour situation. Deals that I was like, this is a no-brainer price for this thing. I was certain sales were going to come through day 1, like not a shadow of doubt in my mind. And they didn't happen. Okay. So I was like, okay, cool. My ego is flaring up, right? It's just like, what is going on? And it's so fascinating when you start to understand and like really pay attention to what's happening here. If you can remove yourself from the situation, kind of step outside of yourself, it is fascinating to watch what our brain does when our ego is flaring up. Because I went from thinking, I don't know, this is the end of the coaching industry, which is so dramatic and silly, but I was like, what is buying? To everybody hates me, to this fucking election is messing everything up, to, I don't know. I mean, like, you name it, my mind went there, right? All to self-preserve. Like, God forbid it's me. God forbid. I mean, I did have the thought, like, everybody hates me, which I know that's not true. I'm just being silly and dramatic. But like, there was a part of me, like, my ego was freaking out for sure. For sure. But also all the other thoughts were like self-preservation. It's something else. It's not me. And that was super interesting. So anyway, okay. So we're at the end of business day 1. We're like 5 o'clock. I'm shutting it down. And it's time for like mom time and family time. So we're in the kitchen and Chris is cooking as he does. And he's like, he notices I'm being super quiet. All right. This was a big breakthrough. So anyway, I'm in the kitchen. We're doing like getting, dinner prepared and just chilling. And normally I'm talkative and asking Chris how his day is. And I'm just quiet. I'm just like, I'm in a bad mood. And to be honest with you, there were multiple factors. It was just kind of a funky day on top of that, exasperated by, this, what I thought would sell, not selling. So I'm quiet. I'm in a mood. Chris is picking up and he was like, "Are you good? What's going on? Do you want to talk about it?" I'm like, "No, I'm good. I'm good." Just not really. Cause I had this moment where I wanted to vent to him. He's my best friend. And normally I would just bitch and I would let it out, which has its perks. I do think it's good to get it out of your body. But I was very, very hyper aware. I was like, speaking something into existence that I don't want doesn't feel like the move right now for whatever reason. Okay. But he's persisting like in a really nice way. And he's like, "What's up? Like, can you just let me know? Is it business? Is it like, what's going on?" And I opened my mouth to word vomit and just let it out and just get it out of my body. But then I was like, no, I refuse to perpetuate this feeling, this situation anymore. Also, this isn't done yet. This situation isn't done yet. Now, side note to this. I just read this book that has absolutely changed my life. I'm working on getting the author on the podcast, and I'm going to tell you all about this book. I'll tell you right now, it's Moving Through Parallel Worlds. There's more to the title, but that's like the main gist of the title, Moving Through Parallel Worlds. This book has like totally changed my life. And it's all about your subconscious, and it's all about energetics and the power of your mind, of course. But anyway, I was like, the launch isn't done yet. I still have until noon the following day. So I'm fully in a moment of potentiality. Anything can happen. It can go any way. It can continue veering into no sales zone and just, like nothing happened. Like that's a potential. Or this could be a 40K cash day, right? Like it could go any way because there's still time on the clock. So knowing this and knowing the power of our words, knowing the power of our energy, I just had this moment of awareness before I opened my mouth to speak, where I was like, why would I speak life, or not even life? Why would I speak death over a situation that isn't dead yet? It's not done. I believe our words become things. I believe our thoughts become things. I believe our energy becomes things. So why would I flow energy toward an outcome that I don't want to perpetuate? So instead of opening my mouth and word vomiting and bitching and speaking every fear that I have in that moment, I opened my mouth and I said, "You know what? Life is so good. I'm healthy. My children are healthy. You're healthy." I'm speaking to Chris. "We're together right now. We're in a home. We have heat," because it was chilly. "We have food that we're putting on the table. I have clients that love me, that are paying me. My business is still in business. I have nothing to complain about." And as I'm speaking this, I'm like, wait, none of those were lies. Like, I'm not just like, it started off almost as a joke. Like, I'm just going to, throw things out there that are what I want, but like, I was like, these things are true. And then like the gratitude genuinely started flowing in. I was like, wait, why am I so bitchy right now? Like, what is this mood about? Genuinely, this is actually silly. This is that. Now, I realize it sounds like I'm gaslighting myself in a way, and maybe in a sense I am, but it just put it into perspective, right? We're allowed to, like, we're all going to have crappy days, and you're allowed to feel how you feel, and you feel how you feel for a reason. But sometimes that shift in perspective really puts things into perspective. And that's what I gave myself in that moment. I was speaking over the things that I had to be grateful for and the truth of my life. And then I did something that was a little silly that in hindsight, I'm like, oh, or was it? Because now I'm speaking these things and I'm smiling, and Chris is like, he's getting it. He's like, oh yeah, you're right. Yes. And he totally gets it. And I go up to him and I put my arm around him and I said, and I'm making so much money, I don't even know what to do with it. I said, there is so much money flowing into my business. I'm at a loss for how to manage it all. It's actually becoming a problem. I make so much money. That's what I said to him. And we had a little laugh. And I said, okay, I'm good. Let's just move on. And we changed the subject. Okay. And my mood was completely shifted. Completely. Because again, I put things into perspective for myself. It was like, okay, we're going to be okay. You've had a day. Move on. But I didn't give in to the temptation to speak death over something that wasn't dead yet, which is what we're doing when we speak our fears and when we speak and pour energy into the worst case scenario. It's not that we can't, I think there's a way to do it, right? Like, it's not that we can't be prepared and be honest about where we're at, but there's a way to do it. And the way that I was about to do it in that moment was not going to be the productive way. And what kind of like another breakthrough for me in hindsight, seeing how this played out, is how often I do this. I believe, like I said, in the power of our mind, in the power of our thoughts, in the power of our beliefs, in the power of our words, in the power of, like, I believe this more than the average person. This is what I talk about day in and day out in this podcast. And yet I'm sitting here and seeing how I'm kind of a hypocrite in the sense that as long as it's convenient for me, I will go back on what I believe. As long as like I'm in a shitty mood, I'll forget everything that I believe and speak death over shit that I don't want to happen. Why would I, if I believe, you either believe in this or you don't. I believe in this. Why would I ever do that? And it just really, really dawned on me in that moment. Okay. So anyway, I felt better. We moved on. That night, I get in bed and I pray. I try and pray every night before bed, and I start with gratitude. Thank you, God, for another day. I'll go through my list and like really be thankful for all the blessings in my life. But then I boldly prayed in a way that I don't often do. In a way that was kind of commanding to God. And you'll hear people talk about like the proper way to pray. And I don't think there's a proper way to pray, but I essentially was like, God, there are these offers out there. And I know there are women who would have so much value, who need to be in these offers. I know there are women out there who are meant to see and get in these offers that I am meant to support in this time. Send them to me. Put this offer in front of their face and embolden them to move with me tomorrow. Like that was the energy. It was from this place of like, I know the value of this. I know the value of what I do. I know. It was certainty and belief. It was a level of faith in the potential of the outcome that I wanted that hadn't taken place yet. And it was simply saying, God, help me. Help me. I know this thing is possible. I know I'm the one for these people. Put us in the room together. Help me. and then I fell asleep. Okay. So if you're following along so far, here are the breakthroughs. Number one, I moved on inspired action. I didn't overthink it. I just went with it, kept it really simple. Number two, I did not feed into the negativity. I did not speak death over a situation that was not dead yet. Instead, I did the opposite and I spoke exactly what I wanted to happen into existence. And number three, I prayed boldly before bed. Two more things, two more breakthroughs that I had in this situation. Well, okay, the next one. So the next day I wake up and do what I need to do. Now, I already have everything in place for this offer. I have emails scheduled and ready to go. I don't need to do anything else. I think I talked about it. I put a couple of posts on Instagram as reminders, but other than that, it's done. It's done. It's either going to get in front of the women or it's not going to get in front of the women. So it was one of those things. It was like, for lack of a better term, let go and let God. You know, like if it happens, great. If it doesn't, I'm gonna keep moving forward, obviously. But all that I can say is then things just started moving. Things just started moving. It started with, number one, this $40K that came in didn't just come in from sales from this specific strategy. First, like we got multiple sales come in from my memberships that I forgot were coming in that day. So it started off with sales moving in that regard, and that added up. And then we got one sale come in for the offers. And then 30 minutes before noon. Okay, so if you're keeping track, I've made one sale from these 3 offers. Okay. It is 11:30 Central. The last chance to take advantage of these specials is at noon. We're 30 minutes out. I'm not even paying attention to the time because I have a couple of calls that morning and I was kind of busy, which I feel like worked in my favor. And I get a message from a current client of mine whom I love dearly. I've worked with her for a couple of years now. And so side note about this, she had inquired about these offers in the poll on Instagram. And when she inquired about them, I didn't even think she was serious. I thought she was responding to the poll to be nice and like increase engagement on the poll. You know how sometimes I've noticed people will do that. They're not actually interested. They're just like boosting the engagement on the poll, which is interesting. I thought that's what she was doing. She's already a client of mine. But I was like, I sent her this stuff anyway because she asked. So I sent that to her. She reached out to me 30 minutes before and said, hey, my contract is up for this thing coming up soon. Would the protege be right for me? Like, is that something, I feel like that's the next logical step for our relationship together. What do you think? And what I told her was, if I had literally designed the perfect client for this offer, it would have been you. Like when I decided to do this offer, it was in hopes that someone like her would want to move forward in this, like that, like dream scenario playing out in front of me. And that's what I told her. I was like, yes, it makes sense. After your contract is up, that yes, like if you would want to continue moving forward, absolutely. Couldn't dream of a better client. So she moved forward. So protege client right out the gate. Okay. It turns noon. I was like, okay. There you go. Protege client right out the gate. Amazing. Or, before the clock strikes, excuse me. Love it. So thankful. That's incredible. That's $18K plus the other sale. That amazing. Like, could not be more grateful. I was celebrating. I almost like wanted to cry because it was just so exciting that this was a current client of mine whom I love so much, who moved forward, and then the other client who decided to move forward. And it was just like that's exactly what I prayed for. Thank you, God. Couldn't ask for a better scenario, honestly. And that was the energy I was in. Like, Hell yeah. That amazing. So, so grateful, right? I opened up my email and Megan, who's on my team, forwarded me an email that she got from another client that she had sent this prior to noon, basically saying like, hey, I'm interested in Protégé. If it's still available, can we make it happen? So she had inquired and I just hadn't seen it yet. I had just been sent it. And I sat there for a second. I was like, well, Protégé just sold. And by the way, there was only one Protégé spot available. But this client is a miracle because let me tell you, this is like one of the coolest things. So this client came out of nowhere. Okay. Little backstory with this one. And I think this is important to the conversation because I decided to take her on, even though there was one spot for this. And even though it was afternoon, and there are a few reasons why. Okay. So with this particular client, a couple of weeks ago, I got a random sale for $1,000 out of nowhere for this course that I hadn't promoted in a really long time from somebody who I'd never heard, like I didn't recognize the name. For $1,000 sale, like typically I recognize the name from Instagram or something. And this was completely seemingly random. So I was like, okay, amazing, Couldn't find her on Instagram to like say hello. I was just like, okay, well, maybe she'll reach out to me. I don't know. 2 days after that, she then pays in full for one of my memberships. This person whom I, again, didn't recognize, I've never had a conversation with as far as I knew. I was like, what on earth? Who is this person? And with the membership that she just paid in full for, she got a private call and she booked it immediately. So last week, I had this call with her and I met her and it was this incredible, all I can say is it was almost like, I don't know. I just met her, but I feel like I knew her. We just had this beautiful connection. We had an incredible strategy call. She is wildly successful and she's taking her business online and she's all in and she's hungry and she's spiritual and her energy was just exquisite. And we really hit it off. And I was like, wow. And I just it was such a moment for me. I was like, these are the type of women I'm attracting in my world. I'm so proud. I'm so thankful. I mean, what a dream, right? So, I don't hear from her. That was last week. Maybe that was the week before. It doesn't matter. It was like a while. And, she got her call and now she's in this membership. So that was that. But then it was this client that reached out asking about the Protégé spot. And I just sat there. I was like, what do I do? All I can say is like my whole body, like it was just a full body hell yes. Full body. Because you have to think, my business, thankfully, is at a level where I don't have to take on private clients. And I'm very grateful for that. Anytime I offer private client spots, it's generally because I want to and because I like working with women at that level. And yes, of course, there's the money aspect to it, duh. But I make money in other areas of my business. I don't have to do private. So, offering one spot it felt very fun. It didn't feel like it would inundate my schedule too much. 2 clients is a different situation. Private for 6 months. But I was like, again, it felt like a no-brainer hell yes. And I was like, you know what? Yes. Like for anybody else, the answer would be, let's put you on a wait list and, we can take a deposit or whatever. For this person, it's a yes because I knew where she was. I knew this would make so much sense for her. So anyway, I'm giving that much of a backstory because sometimes that can be confusing when we're marketing one thing. But again, like these inspired ideas, these inspired situations, they're not always going to play out perfectly and they're not always going to make rational sense with everything else, right? And I just was like, this is God doing exactly what I asked for. Putting this offer in front of the women and emboldening them to move forward with me. And that's what she's doing. And I want to say yes. So the answer is yes. So there's $36K right there. Boom, cash that day. In the span of maybe 30 minutes. That fast. And then I get another sale from somebody because I had other things. We were leaving town the next day to go out of town, Chris and I. So I had a lot of things going on. So I forgot to end put an end to these offers. And I got another client who I've worked with who snuck in late and got one of the higher 777 calls, which I was like, I'm not mad about that because I love her and I would love to work with her again. Again, it was like every woman who flowed in, was like women that I love that like I prayed for. And it was happening. And it all changed that fast. Within a proverbial snap of the finger, it was like 0 to essentially 40K. Just like that. That's how fast it can happen. All from moving on an inspired idea. All from managing my energy and not going down a negative spiral rabbit hole toward an outcome that I don't want to happen. It wasn't difficult. I still felt how I felt. I had a crappy day the day before. I certainly had fear thoughts. So it wasn't like I was sitting there meditating, making myself be, quote, high vibe all day. I had a crappy day, but I chose not to speak any of that into existence. And was that the thing that worked? I don't know. Was it the praying? I don't know. I really believe, like as I was sitting here planning on what to tell you in this episode, I was looking at my list of all the things that I did. And it was like, I believe it was a mixture of it all. I believe because I consciously walked through the day and I did the things that I did, it was a culmination of those events. And it got to work because I made a deal that I would turn around and I would tell you. And it was in the highest good of me and the highest good of all that worked. Because now here I am. And then the last piece is I let it happen, right? I didn't stop it in any way. I didn't overthink it. It was just kind of okay, I did the actions. I'm not going to go down a road that I don't want to go down. I'm just going to keep moving forward, mind my energy, and let it happen. And it happened. And it happened. So there's that. So anyway, I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there are people who are listening who are like, they're not so bought in on the breakthroughs of it all. But also, here's what I would say to you, to my doubters, and that's okay if that's where you're at. I've been there before. What could it hurt? And that's one of the reasons why I embraced these things as much as I have. Because it's like, what's the worst case scenario? I'm simply more positive of a person. I feel better about situations. I pray more. I speak life in situations more. Is that so bad? I don't think so. So I would just encourage you to try it out and see where it goes. So anyway, I'm thankful that I get to share this with you. I hope this was helpful for you. I apologize this episode was a little late this week, but anyway, if this was helpful or you enjoyed this, I would love if you shared in your social media or you left a 5-star review or you can slide into my DMs. I love to hear your stories. I love you and I will see you next week. Bye.